What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr, and today I am bringing you an update to TG. That's right, this deck got some insane levels of support from Age of Overlord, and I can't wait to show you exactly what we've got. I'll also show you a combo at the end of the video so you know what this deck can do at its base level. If you do want to see a dedicated combo video for this deck, then please make sure you smash that like button, hit that notification bell and subscribe. Getting a video above 50 likes in the first 24 hours will unlock that for you. With all of that out of the way, let's dive headfirst into the profile and show you exactly what we've got. So we start off with the first brand new card, and that is TG Rocket Salamander. Now the best thing about this is technically, if you wanted to utilize the Diabellestarr engine and you wanted to try and keep it cheap, considering something like this is only £4, you can get a very nice Synchro level 5 very easily. Now the most generic one that I could possibly think of off the top of my head was Axel Synchron, and with Axel Synchron you can actually adapt this level to become a 4 or a 6 because you can send Jet Synchron. That being said, what makes Rocket Salamander so good? Well, you contribute one TG monster, including itself, to special summon a TG monster from the deck with a different original name than that attributed monster. If you control a machine TG monster, you can target a level 4 or lower TG monster in your graveyard and special summon it in defense but negate its effects. Why is that so good? Well, the card it's going to summon from the deck is of course going to be TG Screw Serpent. Now this is a rare from Savage Strike. If this card is normal or special, you get to target a level 4 or lower TG monster in your graveyard, hello Salamander, and special summon it except itself. But its effects are negated. You can bounce this card from the graveyard to target one TG monster you control, increase or reduce its level by 1 until the end of this turn. So the idea is very simply is that you go Rocket Salamander, tribute yourself off for Serpent, Serpent summons back Salamander, and then you get to use the ability to synchro into the brand new Dragnar. Dragnar will bring back the Screw Serpent and of course the Salamander, giving you instant access into a synchro level 10. Should you want to. Now annoyingly, Dragnar does lock you into TG, so it's a synchro level 10 TG, but that is a cool option anyway. For the other TG monsters, we are playing the one Tank Grupp. Now this one is really kind of cool. So if you control, if this card is used as synchro material for specifically a TG monster, you can treat it as a non-tuner. If it's sent to the graveyard as synchro material for a TG monster, you get to special summon a TG token that is a level 1 in attack position. So again, it just kind of floats and gives you a bit more resource. Then we've got two TG Booster Raptor. So if you control a TG monster, you get to special summon this card from the hand for free. You can only special summon this card once per turn that way. And then once per turn during the end phase, if this card is in the graveyard because it was destroyed on the field, which you can do, then you get to add a TG monster from your deck to the hand except itself. Now I'm just going to show you this now as we do also play the one Miscellaneous, just so that you can get to this as well by being able to send this and then banish it from the graveyard, special this directly from the deck. For the other TG monsters, we do have the one Striker. Now this is if your opponent controls a monster and you control no monsters, you get to special summon it from the hand. And then again, if it is in the graveyard because it was destroyed on the field, during the end phase you get to add a TG monster from deck to the hand. We've got the one Werewolf. So when a level 4 or lower monster is special summoned, except during the damage step, you get to special summon this card from the hand. And then during the end phase, again, if it is in the graveyard because it was destroyed on the field and sent there this turn, you get to add a TG monster from the deck to the hand. Then we've got the one TG Gear Zombie. Target a TG monster you control, special summon this card from the hand, and then that targeted monster loses 1000 attack. You can only use this effect once per turn. This is to give you another level 1 tuner. And then of course we've got the one Drill Fish. So this card can attack directly. Yay, 100 damage. Woo! If all monsters you control are TG monsters, minimum 1, you get to special summon this card from the hand for free. When a TG monster you control inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can target one monster your opponent controls and destroy it. Now it's rare you're going to leave this card on the field when you're trying to get to the battle phase, but it does give you that ability to have another level 1 for free that is a non-tuner this time. And then the final TG monster that I quite like playing at the moment is TG Cyber Magician. The reason I like this is it is another target from 1 for 1. You've played a lot of level 1s as you can see, and you could also play cards like Where Art Thou, Jack in the Hand, and there are players that also use a small DDD engine, because off of that you can actually get yourself easy access into your Synchro level 2, which is the brand new Mighty Striker, and this then gives you access to your TG line. So if you don't want to be playing the Diabellestarr engine, you can do that as well. The idea is you're still trying to get to something like your TG Salamander. So what makes TG Cyber Magician so good is when this card you control is used as a synchro material for a TG synchro monster, you can use TG monsters in your hand as non-tuner synchro materials. So that gives you the ability, again, if you've opened up any of your level 1s and you don't want to use their special summon effect right now because you want to add them back from the graveyard and use them later on, then your TG Cyber Magician can give you that ability to synchro into it, getting into your Mighty Striker a lot earlier. The last card that I'm playing is the one Jet Synchron, or the last monster for the Synchro element is the one Jet Synchron, purely because you can summon this off of the back of the Diabellestarr engine. Like I said, if you're not playing that engine, you can cut this completely, but what it does, it gives you that ability to send a card from your hand to the graveyard, bring it back, and it just gives you that ability to recur some cards to the field. Carrying on with the TG cards, we do play triple all clear. You can play this at 2 if you want to, but I feel that it's such a good card that opening it up is not the end of the world, because it means your search for a TG spell can then become your limiter remover or close. So all TG monsters on the field become machine. Now that's cool because it does help some of your effects, but it's also bad if you're facing Cyber Dragon because that can be dangerous. During your main phase, you can normal summon one TG monster in addition to your normal summoner set. Nice. You can only gain this effect once per turn. During your main phase, you can destroy one TG monster in your hand or field, and if you do, add a TG monster with a different name from the deck or graveyard to the hand. So that is how you're going to be able to destroy your TG monsters to trigger their end phase effects. Now, there are times where you want to get rid of this with your TG Wonder Magician to make sure that your monsters are no longer treated as machines, and you will be able to do that throughout combos. The only card that I'm currently missing that I'm waiting to turn up is a third TG limiter removal. So this card is discard a card, add a TG monster with different, add 2 TG monsters with different names from your deck to the hand. And you can banish this card from the graveyard to target a TG monster in your graveyard, shuffle it into the deck, or if you control a machine TG monster, you can add it to your hand instead. You can only use one TG limiter remover effect per turn, and only once that turn. So keep that in mind. You're either going to be adding from the graveyard to the hand, or you're going to be adding from the deck to the hand. It is a very huge Ash Blossom target, but again, it just increases your consistency to get to the cards you need, while also putting a TG in the graveyard to set you up for your Trident Launcher play as well. The last card we play is the one TG Close. When a spell, trap, or monster effect is activated while you control a machine TG monster, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. If a synchro monster or monsters is banished while this card is in your graveyard, you can set it but banish it when it leaves the field. You can only use one TG Close effect per turn. Moving on to the Diabellestarr engine. Now I know this is a very expensive upgradable engine for this deck, so if you don't want to be playing this mini engine, it is currently only 4 cards. You can either upgrade to have more original Sinful Spoils, so you've got more direct access to your level 1 Fire Salamander from the deck, or you can put in the DDD engine, which will be triple Kepler plus 1 Gate and 1 DD Lamia. So for the Diabellestarr engine, we are playing 1 Diabellestarr the Black Witch, 2 Seeker of Spoils, and then the card that makes it all so good and groovy is, of course, your original Sinful Spoils Snake Eyes. Now, you can mess around with the ratios however you see fit. You probably want 3 Wanted Seeker, as this is the one you want to see, as this gives you recyclability, it gives you draw capabilities as well. The card that is the most effective for the deck is, of course, your original Sinful Spoils. So at the base minimum, considering these are £4 each, you could just play 3 of these. Because you send one other face-up card you control to the graveyard to special summon a level 1 fire monster from your hand or deck. That's pretty much the only effect you really need to worry or care about. So it's like, okay, well, I just want to play 3 of these to get to my Salamander as early as I possibly can. Completely doable. That's the cheapest way of using this engine. It does also mean that you maintain your normal summon, and it also means that you can maintain an additional normal summon off of the back of your TG spell card as well. This is where the DDD engine comes into play, but the DDD engine does require your normal summon, and it does get hit with stuff like Ash Blossoms and Imperms, so keep that in mind. For the hand traps, we are playing 2 Ash Blossom and 2 Imperm, while also, because of the space, main decking Crossout Designator with, of course, the one Called by the Grave. Now, the idea is this deck will struggle and it will lose to quite a few hand traps. You've got your Veilers, you've got your Imperms, you've got your Draws, you've got your Ashes, heck, you've even got the Nibiru's. If your local environment is main decking any of those particular hand traps, like, of course, the Nibiru, then you might want to find space to put 1 or 2 in, which is very easily doable. The other best thing about the Crossout Designator is technically, with the Diabellestarr engine being quite popular right now, you do have a direct way of being able to negate that as well. Entirely up to you on your personal playstyle and preference. You can also deal with stuff like Dark Worlds No Mores, Forbidden Droplets, you name it. The space is there, and the reason I've got it in here is to deal with imperms and ashes, because on cards like my TG limiter removal, or of course your salamander, they are going to be great targets for your opponent to attempt to imperms, ash them, stop them however they can see fit. So you can adapt this engine or adapt the hand trap lineup to what is most effective for you. You can play them at 3s. I kind of went with 2s for the pure fact that you want to leave one in the deck for your crossout target, and then you don't mind opening up the other. Or you keep both in the deck. It doesn't make much of a big difference. Then for the last cards, of course, 1-for-1. You play so many level 1 options. Yes, of course, some of them you don't actually need to be special summoning from the deck. But if you're like, oh, I need a non-tuner, you've got an option. If you're like, oh, I want my salamander, you've got an option. Like, you have so many different targets for your 1-for-1, it is near invaluable. Then for my board breaking cards, I've gone with 2 droplets and 2 Book of Eclipse. These are, of course, personal preference. You don't have to play these. You can play Dark Rulers if your local environment is more affiliate to using that, because Dark Rulers can cause you a couple of issues if you don't have your TG close set up to deal with it. Obviously Nibiru is a bit of an issue for the deck, but I feel that that's something you're going to bring in from your side deck, and that's where Crossout Designator can become more effective. I feel Book of Eclipse can be a bit risky going first, because obviously all of your synchro monsters can get flipped face down, but you do have the ability to banish your own cards, dodge your own cards, and then just being able to go second, open up a Book of Eclipse to completely flip an entire board down, and then you're going to try and pick it apart bit by bit as you go. So that's it for the main deck. Moving on to the extra deck. So we'll start with our lower level synchros, and then we'll work our way up. So we'll start off with the brand new TG Mighty Striker. This card is an insane addition to the deck, which is again why the ability of using the DDD engine works so well, because they can instantly get into a level 2 synchro. So 1 tuner plus 1 or more non-tuners, so it's nice and generic. Once per turn during your opponent's main phase, you can quick effect immediately after this effect resolves, synchro summon using this card you control as material. You can only use this effect, each effect once per turn. If this card is synchro summoned, you get to add a TG spell or trap from your deck to the hand. If this card is sent from the monster zone to the graveyard, you can send 1 TG card from the deck to the graveyard. Again, that's when you're going to be able to put the limiter removal to the graveyard if you haven't opened it up, and that will give you the ability to recycle from the graveyard. The fact that it can synchro summon, the fact that it adds you your TG spell or trap, so that's when you're going to want to go into your TG spell to give you an additional normal summon for your all clear, and then you can add one of the cards back with this. So it gets a little bit more consistent, just kind of give you the best of both, but it really does work out quite nicely. We've got the 1 Dragonfly, because you need a level 2 non-tuner sometimes as well. And then we've got 2 of the Dragna. So this card is one of the go-tos for this day. It's absolutely insane. Again, it's a generic level 5. However, it does lock you into TGs for the rest of the turn. So if it is special summoned, you get to special summon any number of TG monsters from your graveyard in defense, but you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except TG monsters. You can only use this effect once per turn. If this card on the field is destroyed, draw 1 card. Then, of course, we've got the 1 Star Guardian. So this is the one that lets you basically synchro summon during your opponent's turn, while also giving you the ability that if it's special summoned, you get to target a TG monster in your graveyard and add it to the hand. And then during the main phase, you get to special summon a TG monster from your hand. So it kind of gives you everything you need in 1 card. We've then got the 1 Power Gladiator. Now this is just to have a level 5 non-tuner to go alongside your TG Hyper Librarian, to then go alongside your tuner in the form of the TG Wonder Magician. Now this is one of the ways that you can kind of clear your all clear in order to make sure you're not locked into having all machines on the board. Then for our higher level TG monsters, of course, we do have the 1 Blade Blaster, still using the Halberd Cannon, and then of course our 1 brand new TG Glaive. Now all of these are insanely powerful boss monsters. Glaive is probably the most effective in the modern game. This one requires 1 tuner synchro monster plus 2 non-tuner synchro monsters. Must be synchro summoned, and then quick effect, you can target 1 monster on the field specialed from the extra deck, banish it. You can only use this effect once per, up to the number of times per turn of the non-tuner synchro monsters used for its synchro material. So you get to use it at least 2. Once per turn, if a monster or monsters is banished face up, except during a damage state, you target 1 of them and special summon it to your field, ignoring summoning conditions. So you get to basically steal your opponent's monster. Nice. Then of course on the Holberg Cannon, again 1 tuner synchro monster plus 2 or more non-tuners. This card cannot be special summoned except by synchro summon. And once per turn, while this card is face up on the field, you can negate the summon of a monster and destroy it. When this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you get to select a TG monster in your graveyard and special summon it. And then of course the Blade Blaster, 1 tuner synchro monster plus 1 or more non-tuner synchro monsters. When an opponent's spell or trap card is activated that targets this card, you can send one card from your hand to the graveyard to negate that effect. Once per opponent's turn, you can remove from play one TG monster from your graveyard to remove this face-up card on the field from play. During the next standby phase, special on this card if removed by this effect. So it's basically just a boss monster that can kind of tag out and run around. But obviously your Glade is your best card right now. Then, of course, we've got the one TG Trident Launcher. It requires 2 effect monsters, including a TG Tuner. If this card is link summoned, you get to special summon 3 TG monsters, one from the hand, one from the deck, and one from the graveyard, in defense to zones this card points to, so make sure its zones are completely free. You cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except TG monsters. You can only use this effect once per turn. Your opponent cannot target TG Synchro monsters this card points to with card effects. Nice. And then the final 2 cards is the one Baron and the one Calamity. Now obviously you can make Calamity during your opponent's turn, which is why you play it, because you can very easily turn skip them. But you can also make Baron. If you're like, okay, I'd rather have an Omni Negate, or I don't have enough materials on the board to get to the turn skip, then you'll go that way. Keep in mind you have 3 monsters that can synchro during your opponent's turn. So you've got your Wonder Magician, you've got your Mighty Striker, and then of course you also have your Star Guardian. So just making sure you adapt the levels, making sure you've got your non-tuners that you require, or in this case your 2 tuners that you need, then you're able to turn skip your opponent completely, which is very, very nice. Which is something this deck does need, because it doesn't need to turn skip your opponent, but being able to turn skip them does give you the ability to come back and OTK the next turn, because you're going to be pretty much set up and good to do that with the board presence that you're going to have. So that's it for the profile. Now I'm going to show you a very basic combo for the deck, and then we can build back and dissect into other combos should you want to see that in a separate video. So back in a second. So I'm going to show you the 2-card combo that gives you the most hand advantage, and it can adapt towards the end of the video. Now I'm going to make mine a little bit differently, but where I originally saw this combo was from Zamora Bros TCG. I'll put a link to his combo video in the description below, because you'll see loads of different combos from that. But this one's going to adapt a little bit at the end of the video to follow the profile that I've built, but then you'll see his version will also give you a nice Calamity skip as well. So you start off with Limiter Removal. Now again, this combo can be adapted depending on what else you have. You can hard open 2 of the cards, which is basically Salamander plus a non-tuner, or of course you can open up your Diabellestarr engine to get you to your Salamander, and then a tuner in one way or another. So you're going to start off by activating your Limiter Removal, discard the 1 random card, so you should be able to get this from your opening hand. Just for visual representation, we'll also still have 3 more cards in our opening hand as well. Resolve the TG Limiter Removal by adding your Salamander and of course your Gear Zombie. The reason you add the Gear Zombie is you need a tuner level 1 that can summon itself for free. So what you're going to do here is you're going to normal summon the Salamander and then special summon down the Gear Zombie, straight away giving you instant access to the synchro that you may need. You're then going to use your Rocket Salamander's effect to trigger it off to summon out the Screw Serpent. In doing so, Screw Serpent's effect will then trigger to bring you back this Salamander. You then synchro the Zombie and the Salamander to go into your Mighty Striker, using Mighty Striker's effect to get you the All Clear. Use All Clear's effect to destroy the Mighty Striker in order to add you a TG Grub. In doing so, the Mighty Striker's destruction effect will go off, that because it's been sent from your monster zone to the grave, you get to send a TG card from the deck to the grave, and you're going to send your TG close. You've now, of course, got your additional normal summon for your Tank Grub. So you're going to normal summon that, and you're going to synchro the Grub with your Serpent to get you into your Dragna. Now, at this point, you've got 2 things that's going to happen, which is really kind of cool, because you can technically then protect from Ghost Spell. Is you can go Chain Link 1, Dragna, Chain Link 2, the Grub in the graveyard. Grub will spawn you a token, and then Dragna will bring back as many TGs in the graveyard as possible. So that's when it's going to give you the ability. If you wanted to, you could not have the level 1 on the board, but leaving the level 1 token on the board is actually really important to give you that non-tuner that you're going to need. So you're going to bring back your level 4 Screw Serpent, you're going to bring back your level 1 Grub, you're then going to bring back your level 2 TG Striker, and of course you're going to bring back your Salamander. So you're going to get your mixture of tuners and non-tuners back to the board, which is really, really important. So now what you want to do here is you want to continue to synchro summon up, and that's going to be able to get you everything you need. So you're going to use your Serpent plus your token, and you're going to go into your Librarian, and this is when you're going to start replenishing your hand advantage, which is very, very important. Remember that all the monsters you currently have are all going to be machines as it currently stands. So you can now use the secondary effect of the Salamander because you control a machine TG. Now keep in mind, all clear makes them all machines, so you do fulfill that requirement. You can bring back the Serpent from the graveyard, which is absolutely insane because it's just going to give you more fodder on the board to keep you going. You then get the ability to synchro into another level 5, so you're going to use your Serpent, and then you can use your Grub or your Salamander, doesn't make much of a difference, and go into your Guardian. This will then give you the ability to draw one more card, which is very, very nice off of the back of your Hyper Librarian. You then can use the ability of your Star Guardian to add one back from the graveyard to the hand, and the one you're going to want to go for is the one that's going to give you the most advantage, and that's going to be your Screw Serpent. You then get the ability to gain an additional normal summon if you want to, off of the back of your All Clear, but otherwise we're just going to special summon down the Screw Serpent off of the back of the Star Guardian. You're then going to synchro your Salamander plus your Screw Serpent and go into a level 5 non-tuner of your Power Gladiator and draw an additional card off of the back of your Librarian. So you've now replenished your entire hand, so this combo is pretty much like for like. And we're still not done there, which is absolutely important because the next thing we're going to do is you're going to want to synchro your level 5 tuner, your level 2 tuner in the form of your Mighty Striker, plus your level 5 non-tuner in the form of Dragnar and Gladiator to go into your Glaive. Diabellestarr, there we go. You're then going to get a draw off of the back of your Librarian again, which is really, really nice. Now you've got two options here. Option number one is that you can then synchro summon and go across. Keep in mind as well, you've also got the Glaive effect that can banish the Star Guardian, and the reason you're going to do that is that in doing so, what this is going to allow you to do is it's going to allow you to trigger the effect of the TG close in the graveyard to reset it, and then you'll have the ability to re-summon back the Glaive. So you've got the close now set, and you're going to summon back the Glaive. Now, at this point, it's entirely up to you. You can synchro these into a level 10, and the level 10 that you're going to want to be going into will, of course, be your other TG Blaster. So I'm not going to show you the full com on this one, but you can go into your Blade Blaster. That's shown on, of course, Zamora's video. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to leave it here at that. So I've got an additional card in my hand. If I draw any more cards, of course, I'm going to have to start discarding. But I've got 6 cards in my hand. They could be hand traps. They could be more cards. They could be set. I've got a counter trap set ready to go for the next turn. And then passing to my opponent's turn, what I can do is I can use the ability of the Star Guardian to then synchro summon using itself plus Librarian and get myself into a Baron. So I've got an additional negate on the board. I can protect that entire play with of course TG close, and because I've put these in defense, I don't need to fear a Lightning Storm unless they're going to want to try and hit the back row, which then I basically just sacrifice the TG close, and I still have a full hand of 6 to play around with, drawing a 7th for the turn coming back, and just switching these to attack. Baron's going to be able to pop a card. We've got 4k on the Glaive Blaster, we've also got 3k on the Baron, and then any of these cards can restart a combo just to get you that final 1000 damage on the board as well. So that's it for the combo. I thought this was the combo that just gave you the most advantage. So technically it was draw free from 2 cards, plus set up the ability in the other version, going through Zamora's one, you'll get a Calamity turn skip. In this one, I've gone for Baron instead. So like I said at the start of the video, if you want to see a dedicated combo video for this deck, then let me know in the comments below, and make sure you smash the like button on this video. Getting above 50 likes in the first 24 hours will unlock that for you. But for now, as absolutely always, stay safe, and of course, happy dueling.